Dr. Flew, are you aware of the fact that every disciple, including Paul, died a martyred death, horrible death, because they believed and taught about the resurrected Christ? James was thrown from the Temple Mount. Peter was crucified upside down. Paul was beheaded. I believe it was Thomas who was skinned alive. Do you think that they would have died horrible martyred death if they were believing a hallucination?
Well, I'm afraid that if it had seemed absolutely real to them, then it might have done.
Every last one of them? Every last one of them?
If it was... The crucial thing is how it seemed to them in human behavior, isn't it?
The problem is you got then, if it was just a hallucination, the body was sitting over in the grave. And they could have checked it out. The message would have been squished down pretty good in Jerusalem, because you can't stand up in Jerusalem and say, Jesus is alive, we saw him, and the body's 3 blocks over.
I think the same thing is the case. The crucial thing is what people
My question to you would be
that
then the fact is, if Jesus' body was in the tomb, how did these boys get away with spreading this message when it would have been so easy to disprove it? And even the Jewish sources down through the years reported that the tomb was empty. Why would they do that? It just piles up higher and higher and higher that, it's not probable to hold to that other view. It's more probable to believe Jesus actually came forth from the dead.
The more persuasive you make the case for the resurrection, the greater difficulty you have in explaining why so many people in Jerusalem at the time who were in a position to know this apparently did not believe it. I don't know what the answer
Gary,
is.
Gary, what would you say to that?
Several shots. Number one, a really intriguing verse. Acts chapter 6, verse 4b says, many priests became obedient to the faith. We're not told why. That's one insight. But secondly, we can't argue from non-evidence. We don't know who didn't believe. As far as we're concerned, maybe the majority of people believed. We don't know because we don't have data. Third shot, I think philosophical worldviews overpower evidence in many cases. I think people don't believe because they don't want to believe. That doesn't touch the evidence one iota.
Well, another way of saying it would be, let's say that you had a kind of an Agatha Christie kind of a scenario where the police broke into this room that had one door and it's locked, and they come in and they find a person that's dead on the floor and it's cut up into 18 equal pieces, and there's the person standing over the body with a big knife, and it's blood dripping right off of her hands, okay? So they bring this person into court, and they give all the testimony, and the jury goes to the jury room. They come on back, and it's a quick trial because the evidence is so clean cut. And the fact is that they ask the foreman of the jury, please give the verdict. And the guy stands up and he says, Your Honor, we find the defendant over there completely innocent. Whereupon His Honor wakes up for the first time in 4 hours and says, I need an explanation here. And the guy says, well, I'll tell you what. The fact is that even though you had all of this evidence, it's certainly possible, isn't it, that something else happened? It's possible that a Martian came down here and took his ray gun and he cut up that body into 18 equal pieces, and because he's such an ornery Martian, he pinned it, he made it look like this person did it. His Honor would have apoplexy because he told those people to draw attention only to the evidence, not everything that could be possible. And what we're talking about here is you got to deal with the evidence. Does that make sense?
Yes, but one's confronted with a case of people reporting something that is not possible, a resurrection.
Not possible has to be defined. What is possible?
Well, look, unless you think that it was practically impossible, there's nothing to be excited about at all.
Isn't that where near-death comes in, near-death experiences and these prayer deals and healing cases and things like that? Aren't they outside the box? Don't they open the door?
Well, any of these things are things awaiting explanation, yes.